So when you're putting together this chart, make sure that every position, every person that's up at the top is involved in those conversations, and it's very clear that that person is responsible for communicating with the funder. This other person is responsible for tracking expenses. This other person is responsible for the reports. And then that way, at the time that you either close out your grant or have a report coming up, you know exactly who to go to for what. And if that person doesn't know, come back to the beginning of the grant meeting chart that you distribute to everyone, and you can say, well, you know, this is what we agreed on. What can we do? Right, so. Any questions on this? Okay.
This is great.
Good.
I have a question, but
yeah.
One of the things that we see for a lot of our clients is that they get a new type of grant from a new funder, and sometimes some of the outcomes that they need to report on deviate a little bit from what they have historically captured. So can you speak to when that happens? At what point are you, I guess, reviewing intake to see if you're even capturing it at that beginning? Because we've had cases where some clients, got funding from a new funder, and they never went back to look at it. So when the report was due, they realized they never even captured some of the data that were a requirement of the funder because it was just the application. They needed a few more boxes on there for them to check. So can you just speak to that?
This is definitely recommended at the time of the award, right? So after reviewing that grant agreement, that's where ideally you'll see that deviation, or they're asking for something that you don't regularly do. And that's when you decide internally with your leadership and with your program people, okay, can we do this, right? Sometimes I've seen it where that's not in the agreement. So that's when you have to have those conversations. I used to ask a lot for, can you send me a template of what your report looks like? And sometimes they will send it to you because they have a standardized process of, the reports and the timeline that they need these reports. And so that's just, something you can ask for at the beginning is what is it that you need? So having those conversations with the funder definitely at the beginning of this whole process. And then after that thorough review of the agreement and the report templates and what kind of data you need to collect, having these meetings where everyone is assigned a role and responsibility and who's accountable for what and what needs to happen, and just kind of thinking through, okay, step number 1, this happens. Step number 2, like what happens after that, and just breaking it down, even though it's a simple step as like, disseminating accounting codes. It's just one thing, one time that you need to do, but you have to have someone that is responsible and accountable for that.